any family business is everybody's in to do good, and it's just like they're so gratifying, and you're working with your family is the best thing, because they work hard for you, and everybody's trying to do a top-notch job. So just being outdoors and being in such a great place to raise a family out here, I mean, it's just with all the hunting and the fishing and just being outdoors. And our family, all of us just love the outdoors.
I remember as a kid going out and hunting with my dad. He would take all the kids along, and we would have to walk the fields. I remember loading up in all the rental vans that the hunters rented, and we'd just go out there, have coolers full of pop and candy bars. We just thought it was the best thing ever.
The outdoor atmosphere. I definitely consider myself an outdoors person. It's tough to sit behind a desk, which is something I used to do. Family owned and operated for several years to come. It's enjoyable working with the three boys.
I went to South Dakota State for a year and a half, then I came back and worked at a truck stop for a couple of years. And while I was working at that truck stop, a mobile oil rep came in and wanted to know if the guy that Kimball was retiring, if I would like the job. And I filled out a bunch of stuff and I got the job. So in the next few years, I worked as a bulk driver to the farm, and I got to fish and hunt a lot. And I and my wife Joyce had 4 children during that time, and I hauled gas till about 1998, and that was the deal where everything changed. I sold the business. In the early 80s, there was a lot of bankruptcies, and about went under. And what I did to supplement my income was to hunt and fish. And in that time, and then the business got so big in the hunting, and the reason it got big was because a guy had called me and wanted to know if we had any pheasants out in Kimball, South Dakota. And he'd been hunting east of here of Kimball and not having very good luck. And so I met him in an establishment in town, and we talked it over, and he brought some hunters out one day, or the next day actually, and we hunted, and he said, "Can you offer stuff like this?" He said, "I can bring you 200 hunters if you want them." And I just jokingly thought, well, that's big talk, But that's where it just went on. It just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and we went from about 200 people, and then the next 20 years we went into the 400 and some people, and that's the reason I didn't have time to deliver gas anymore with the hunting and the fishing, so I sold the business and ran it after that until 6-7 years ago. My daughter and her husband and their 3 children came down and took over the business, and since then it's pretty much all history, and they're doing very well. It's just a combination over the years. I look back of all the hard work and where it's come to be now, which is a lot of work yet. And if you don't have a work ethics, you're not going to make it in any business like this. And working with the public and satisfying the people that you do your job, and you do it well, your business is going to thrive.
Bird, hunt him up. Cock! Cock! All right, well, hold up. Bring him here.
The satisfaction of pleasing people, they're out here on vacations, or they're bringing people out in their business. And if it does their business very well too. If their higher end of their business is doing good and they bring them people out here, they're going to remember that, and then they work just that much harder for the company. There's a lot of company people, we developed our business around. because most of the people come from the southern part of the United States. You get Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, Louisiana, Alabama, Arkansas, Tennessee, just a lot of people. And word of mouth, if you do good, you do your job right, you don't have to spend a lot of money on advertising. Advertising comes by word of mouth, and it's the best advertising you got if, you know.
When you first started taking people out hunting and starting this new business, did you have a lot of support from your family and friends?
Oh yeah, I mean, I had every friend I know working for me and helping me, and a lot of them even earlier in the years said, you should just do this. It's that, you know enough people. And in the bulk business, I knew so many farmers, and they ended up helping me tremendously. Some of the bigger farmers that had a lot of birds, I leased their ground and leased to hunting from them. And I had a support from everyone. It really was. And I had a lot of support from my wife, but she worked like a dog because we only had cold water out in a back shed, and when it was cold, we just froze to death doing birds. But since then, we got all the heat and all the luxuries of the inside and getting out of the elements.
How has this career and the people that you met in this business impacted you?
Oh, well, first of all, making a living at it was a great thing. Not only that, getting to know people that come back 10, 20, 30, 40 years. I've had people come back and met so many friends, and they became family. And families coming out to hunt, we just became families, and it's just so gratifying.
How long have you been coming out here for?
Since 1988, so this is 34 years for me.
What's your favorite part about coming up here?
Seeing my friends that I hunt with, and seeing the friends I've met in Kimball over the last 3 decades. I'm a physician, and we have to take oral board exams, and one year back in the early 90s I took my oral board certification exams about 2 weeks before the hunt, and I came on the hunt, and we were sitting in a little bar downtown, and the phone rang, and they said, let's talk to one of the Tennessee guys. And they answered the phone and told me and said, you passed your board. So I was in Kimball, South Dakota when I found out I'd passed my oral board. So the place is near and dear to my heart.
It became an entertainment business and big high dollar deal, and we still have people that come that there's different packages you can get to hunt, but it's just changed by the way we do things. We vac and pack our birds. We just have so many more resources of doing things right. Back then we didn't have probably the income at that time, just starting out, but since then we've bought new and different ways of processing and hunting, buses. We used to drive around, everybody'd follow somebody in a car. You look like a drive-in picture show with all the cars. Now 3, 4 buses, and they all can be on the bus together. And when we get there and hunt, it's just a lot less confusion. It's just a lot of ways that it became so much better.
In 2015, we made the decision to purchase Nedved Guide Service from Chuck and Joyce, Amber's parents. And during that time, we were still living 200 miles north of here, so we were traveling back on the weekends just to help out whenever we could to kind of get comfortable with the clientele, get used to kind of the ins and outs of the business. So we did that for the first year, which is in 2015. In 2016, we moved our family from Mulbridge, South Dakota to Kimball, South Dakota, where Amber and I were born and raised. It seemed like it was a natural fit, small town atmosphere, and the business was a great fit for the family with the three boys, Caden, Carter, and Lucas. So in 2016, we worked with Chuck and Joyce. Amber and I did, as well as our three boys, kind of worked side by side with them. And then at the conclusion of the 2016 season, Chuck and Joyce asked if we were interested in purchasing the business at that point, and we said yes. So from 2017 until where we are right now, we've owned and operated the business and kept the name Nedved Guide Service. It seemed like that was a natural fit for the clientele. All knew what they were getting when they hear the name Nedved. They know they're getting a quality service. We felt like that was best to keep the business alive for hopefully generations to come. In 2017 was our first year owning the business, and at that point, or that year, we ran the business just like it's always been run. But going back a year before that, in 16, when we were here working with Chuck and Joyce, it was at that time I had asked Chuck several times if he thought a lodge could be successful, since there are several other lodges in the area that seemed to be doing well. Prior to us moving back and taking over the business, it was a clientele business with a quality service of pheasant hunting being offered, but all those customers or clientele either stayed in a hotel or they stayed in what we refer to as our bunkhouse. Nothing fancy, but still a place for hunters to stay. It was in 2016 and 17 where we came up with a plan for the lodge. We felt like it would be a good idea because it just seemed like the other lodges in the area were successful with it. We felt like our biggest challenge would be just getting people to see it and buy into it, since this business has operated for 30-some years without it. So the first year was 2018 with the lodge, and we started. I mean, to say we started small, but it was small compared to where we are now. In 2018, we had 14 groups that stayed with us, and last year, 2021, we had, I believe, 35 groups. So we've grown significantly to the point where it's fairly tough to get new groups into the lodge because everybody continues to reserve their same dates year after year. So I guess that's a good problem to have. We know we're offering a quality service when everybody wants to come back year after year. I enjoy meeting new customers every year. It seems like even when we have the same groups that come back year after year, some for more than 35 years they've been coming, it's great to see the same faces all the time, but it seems like there's always one or two new people that come with the group. So it's always nice meeting new people. It's always nice meeting the clientele that have become like family and friends over the years. The only thing I like about the position that we have now is you can tell it's going to be family owned and operated for several years to come. It's enjoyable working with the three boys, with the business, and seeing that they truly like what's happening and take an interest in it as well. So it's a family owned and operated business. I think a lot of lodges and hunting operations say that, and that's not a knock against anybody else, but ours truly is family owned and operated. It's the family that runs it. There's very few people that are a part of our operation that are not family. If they aren't family, they've been a part of our family for many, many years. So we're very blessed to have the people that work with us and help us out with this operation.
Some of the guys that were coming when I was way back in elementary school are still coming. It's just, they've just become like family. You just get to know them over the years and can't wait for hunting season to come the next fall so you can see them again. When we first moved back in 2016, I was walking the fields. That was my role, and cleaning the birds. And since we've built the lodge, I'm full-time in the lodge, 3 meals a day, plus housekeeping. So the lodge keeps me busy. I don't clean birds anymore, and I don't go hunting anymore. We have family that comes out and helps us whenever we need. My mom is always there for me when I just need an extra hand. I do have 3 great housekeeping ladies that come, especially when we have the turnovers. In the day, we have a group that leaves, and then we have a group coming in just a short few hours after that. So we do have awesome help. My sisters come out and help me in the kitchen whenever I need help. Otherwise, we have no other staff. It's just pretty much all family and a couple housekeepers. The
only thing that I really enjoy about the job that we have now, or I have now, is continuing to build quality habitat year after year and watching what that does to not only your land but also to bird retention. It seems like every year when we work on habitat, as in more grass, more trees, positions of certain food plots, it just seems like you can see the benefits of that when you see the little chicks that are showing up in April and May and starting to flourish in that particular habitat. I think one of the biggest challenges that I see in our business is it's a good problem, but it's also a challenge when new folks call and inquire about wanting to come out and hunt because of word of mouth. They found out that somebody else was out here and they really enjoyed themselves, and they pass it on to somebody else. And when they make that phone call to you or send you that email wanting to see what you have for open dates, and it seems like we're filling up faster than we have earlier when we first got started. So it's a challenge trying to get new groups into the calendar and letting them experience what others have experienced before them. So continue to look for new ways to try to be creative about getting other groups in. Is probably one of the biggest challenges that I have right now, or we have right now. And I think one thing that I would do differently, and it's easy to say this now, but I would have planted more trees earlier. Just because you were finally starting after 7 years of what we've started since we've been back. We're finally starting to see the benefits of some of the cedars we planted. And again, that goes back to seeing the wild bird numbers flourish where you have quality habitat, where you have those wind breaks and tree breaks. So probably planted more trees earlier. We plant a few thousand trees every year, but some take off and some don't. And I would have planted more trees earlier probably. In terms of the lodge, I think there's a lot of things that we would have done differently in the construction of the lodge. But there again, it was just one of those where the operation, or this business had operated for 30 some years without a lodge. There was that challenge of whether or not, deep down inside, is whether or not it was going to be successful. So we built it according to a budget, and now we are slowly putting more money back into it in certain places to make things look nicer. We've expanded once. You know, there's other opportunities to do that expansion again in the future. But again, going back to what would I've done differently, probably done a few things differently with the lodge and the construction, but we're making up for that now and adding things as we go. So. One of the things I think our Nedved guide service offers that some of other lodges don't offer, and some of them do, but and that has credit to do with the next generation that's coming up with our 3 boys, and we're beginning to offer. Well, Chuck started the fishing business several years ago as well. Carter's continuing to take that on. That's something that I think our lodge offers. Occasionally, early season, we'll do what some people call a cast and blast, but you know, they go out hunting in the morning and come back for lunch and go out for fishing in the afternoon. I know not every lodge does that. I think there again with the next generation and the boys that they've talked about offering some waterfowl, that they've kind of started to do that this past couple of years. If non-residents are able to get drawn, they'll do duck hunts and goose hunts in the mornings before pheasant hunting and in the evenings after pheasant hunting. So kind of fills the day in for those who don't want to just hang around the lodge. It kind of gives more opportunity for the outdoorsmen to come out and experience the outdoors rather than just a pheasant hunt. I guess I'm one of those people who are built, or my mindset is I'm never satisfied with where things are right now. So I'm always looking for ways to improve. Those ways could be habitat. Those ways could be adding on to the lodge to continue to offer a high-class facility for our hunters who come out and spend time with us. I look to see our clientele business continue to grow, even though going back to what I said was a challenge. That's tough to fill. It's tough to add more when there's only so many calendar days. For example, this season we're doing a couple of pheasant hunts in January, which normally we're done in right before Christmas. So I guess I always look for ways to improve. I'm never satisfied with being average or the status quo. So continue to look to ways to add on to the lodge or add different features to the lodge to make a more comfortable stay for our customers.
Look, here comes another bird.
Where'd he come from?
Dog got it.
They run them birds all the way down his field. He was alive. I think it might have been that one. Could have been. No, it happened to be. Yeah. It hurt. Need some more water, Pop?
It's really funny. When I first started out, I didn't even have dogs. Some of the farmers I hunted on had dogs, but it didn't take me long. If you don't have dogs, you're in trouble. I mean, it's just, you don't lose birds, you flush more birds, retrieving the birds, and I'm pretty, you know, all I've ever had is labs. It's a flush and retrieve dog, no pointers. I've had all black labs and chocolate labs. Yeah, they're the best ones out in this country, because if you're in a spot where there's a lot of birds and you have pointers and you have a group of people, one of them is always pointing. Or this heavy cover, a lot of it, a lab will flush them, and then when they go down, they retrieve them. They're pretty much our specialty dogs, the labs. Hard work. That's all it comes down to. Be nice to people. They'll be nice back in return. You've got to be staunch with hunting, though, with guns and safety. But it's just hard work, and ask for help if you need help. Because where I was at the time I started, everybody was willing to help me, and that's just so great being in a community as it is, with everyone helping each other. Oh, the business right now is great, and my son-in-law Joe and my daughter Amber and their three children are doing it right, and they're working hard. Since then they've built a lodge, which I never had, and it's a tremendous amount of work, but you just put your nose to the grindstone, and they're doing a fabulous job. It's just unbelievable. Me, I'm kind of laid back now and looking forward to the retirement completely. So. Again, it just comes down to one thing. If you believe in something and your heart's in it, and you enjoy it, that's another thing. I was very, very fortunate to be my own boss all my life, and made it what it is. And again, goes back to hard work.